So, today we're learning about the Holy Roman Empire and the 30 Years' War. We have 4 daily objectives today. Number 1, list the powers of the Emperor of the Holy Roman Empire. Number 2, discuss what it means for a country to be decentralized. Number 3, explain how the 30 Years' War began. And number 4, list the outcomes of the 30 Years' War. So, a long time ago back in Unit 2, we talked about this guy named Charlemagne. Now, if you remember, Charlemagne was the guy, he was Frankish, so he was French, and he reunites much of Western Europe after the collapse of the Roman Empire. He travels to Rome, which is where the Pope lives, and the Pope and the Holy Roman Emperor, Charlemagne, reach an alliance. The Pope dubs this new French empire that Charlemagne has built the Holy Roman Empire, so the next version of Rome. And this event signals the joining of Germanic power under Charlemagne, the church, and the heritage of Rome all together. So Charlemagne founds the Holy Roman Empire. Now, what you need to know about the Holy Roman Empire is that the Holy Roman Empire is not Rome. I know it's called the Holy Roman Empire, but it's not actually the Roman Empire at all. It's a totally different country. So in the year 800, Pope Leo III did crown Charlemagne Holy Roman Emperor. Charlemagne's kingdom did not last long. It dissolved due to inheritance laws, basically back during in the 800s when a man died. All of his sons inherited part of his kingdom or part of his land or wealth or whatever. So Charlemagne's kingdom actually gets broken up into pieces because he's got multiple sons. But eventually the Holy Roman Empire sticks around. But eventually the Holy Roman Empire is going to compose of all of modern-day Germany, as well as a few other countries like Austria and the Czech Republic. This GIF over here on the side kind of shows us how the Holy Roman Empire started in the 800s and then slowly shrank. So we can see it's at its biggest in 962, or actually in 1034, where it's got most of Italy. Slowly gets a little bit smaller, ends up losing all of northern Italy over time until it's just Germany and a few other countries. Gets even smaller, and then it finally dissolves in 1806 with Napoleon. So the Holy Roman Empire is a very unusual country, and I put country in quotes intentionally. Unlike other countries, the Holy Roman Empire is very, very, very decentralized. So if you compare the Holy Roman Empire to France during this period, France, you've got a king of France. The king of France makes all the rules about anything he wants to make rules about in France. That's not the way the Holy Roman Empire works. The Holy Roman Empire is a country made up of countries. So each of these countries has its own ruler, has its own laws, has its own customs, and has its own cultures. The only thing that is holding the Holy Roman Empire together is the fact that they have the same emperor. So once again, the Holy Roman Empire is not the Roman Empire. It's totally different. It's very decentralized. It is a country of countries. And each component country has its own ruler. It gets weirder. So the Holy Roman Empire is not just an empire, but it is an elective monarchy. What this means is that the emperor of the Holy Roman Empire is actually elected by other people, called electors. So the most powerful kings and dukes and princes in the Holy Roman Empire, so these are guys that have their own little countries in the Holy Roman Empire, some of them are going to be what are called electors, and they have the right to vote for the next emperor. So the electors vote amongst themselves generally who the next emperor is going to be. This is Charles V. He's my personal favorite. He's got awesome armor. Now, the emperor, again, if you compare this to France, where in France the king can make rules about anything he wants to, the emperor's power is very, very, very limited. By and large, each country has de facto independence in their territory. So, for example, if the king of Bavaria wants to say everybody's got to be Catholic, deal with it, he can do that. And there's nothing really the emperor can say about that. The emperor's main power comes in foreign affairs with non-Holy Roman Empire countries. So the emperor might conduct relations between the Holy Roman Empire and France. But the emperor is not going to have a whole lot of say between Bavaria, which is a kingdom in the Holy Roman Empire, and Bohemia, which is another kingdom in the Holy Roman Empire. And he's going to have even less say about what goes on in Bohemia or Bavaria, respectively. The emperor's power, by and large, is with international relations, so between the Holy Roman Empire and other countries. Now we're going to talking about the 30 Years' War, which is the reason why we're talking about the Holy Roman Empire at all. Remember the Protestant Reformation. This guy, Martin Luther, sets it off. The Catholic Church had a lot of problems, indulgences being one, simony being another. Martin Luther ultimately starts Lutheranism, starts busting up the Catholic Church's monopoly on Christianity in Europe. And this is going to have a profound impact. So, countries of Europe, inside countries, so inside France, inside the Holy Roman Empire, inside England, countries are going to fight. They're going to have multiple civil wars about what religion is going to be okay to practice. So unlike in the United States, where if you want to be Catholic, that's cool. If you want to be Baptist, that's cool. If you want to be Presbyterian, that's cool. If you want to be an atheist, that's cool. We don't really care. In Europe during this time period, everybody cared. Everybody cared about what religion you are. Everybody. And the king wanted to make sure, generally it was kings, sometimes queens, the kings and queens wanted to make sure that all their citizens practiced the same religion that they did. Because they were afraid that if you, the king of France, was Catholic and your people are Protestant, you, the king of France, is going to be afraid that your people, Protestants, are going to go and try to get the king of Italy to come and take over your country because the king of Italy is also Protestant. So kings, queens, nobles like their people to be the same religion they are. This is going to cause a number of wars in Europe, especially in the Holy Roman Empire. Because remember, the emperor doesn't really have a whole lot of say-so about what the individual countries in the Holy Roman Empire do. So some countries in the Holy Roman Empire were turning Protestant. Some were staying Catholic. Some were doing other things. The emperor, who was a Catholic, that's very important, don't forget that. The Holy Roman Emperor is a Catholic. He wanted everybody in the Holy Roman Empire to be Catholic. But the countries in the Holy Roman Empire said, yo, no, that's against the rules. We get to decide what we do in our countries. And he said, yeah, but I'm the emperor. I make all the rules. This leads to strife. Holy Roman Empire ends up fighting within itself for 100, 150 years as a result. These wars are going to ultimately end with the Peace of Augsburg, which is signed in 1555, which allows individual rulers to pick what religion their country practices. Sounded like a good idea. You're the king of Bavaria. If you decide you want to be a Catholic, your people have to be Catholic. That's the way it works. Done. Sounds like a great idea. Doesn't work. Totally, completely, utterly fails. And it all starts with the Bohemian Revolt. So Bohemia is a kingdom in Holy Roman Empire at the time. Bohemia is now known as Czech Republic. It's still a country. Basically what happens is Bohemia is a Protestant country. It's filled with Protestants. But the kingdom of Bohemia technically belongs to the Holy Roman Emperor. It is his kingdom. He is both the Holy Roman Emperor and the king of Bohemia. But the Holy Roman Emperor is a Catholic. So he goes and he says, Bohemians, you got to be Catholic because I'm Catholic. Deal with it. They're not huge fans. So what they do is his ambassadors that the emperor had sent to Bohemia, they push him out of a window. This is him getting pushed out of a window. This is called the Defenestration of Prague. You don't really need to know what it's called. But moral of the story is, he tried to force him to be Catholic. They didn't like it. They pushed his guys out of windows. It's kind of funny. They did not die, by the way. So ultimately, the Bohemian Revolt is what's going to start the 30 Years' War and set the Holy Roman Empire down the road of religious war. So two leagues form. You've got one, which is the Protestant League. Basically, all the Protestant countries in the Holy Roman Empire team up together. The other is the Catholic League. Basically, all of the Catholic countries in the Holy Roman Empire team up together against each other. So the Protestant Union, or the Protestant League, same thing, comes to Bohemia's defense. because they know Bohemia is about to declare war on the Holy Roman Empire and the Emperor, comes to Bohemia's defense. Catholic League then declares war on the Protestant League. The 30 Years' War is on. Now, what begins as a religious conflict over whether we're going to be Protestant or Catholic ends up turning into really Europe's First World War. Spain, a Catholic country, Sweden and England, two Protestant countries, they quickly jump in. The Holy Roman Empire is totally devastated. Approximately 4 million people die. It is a huge disaster. So the war finally ends in 1648 with the signing of the Treaty of Westphalia. This is them over here signing the treaty. Officially ends the idea of a universal European Catholic empire ruled by the popes. Remember, the Holy Roman Empire was this alliance between Charlemagne and the Pope. The Pope provides religion, Charlemagne provides the military. That was the idea. Formally ends that. Pretty much after the Treaty of Westphalia, the Catholic Church has very little real political power left in Europe. They still have quite a bit, especially in the colonies, but by and large, that is gone. It also establishes the independent state system we have today instead of the dynastic system that existed before. So if we think about dynasties, remember families inherit things. Well, in Bohemia, if you think about Bohemia, Bohemia was ruled by the emperor, who was Catholic, but Bohemia was Protestant. And they rose up against their Catholic king and emperor because they wanted to be Protestant. It's not about the dynasty. You don't get to rule just because you inherited. It's not a dynastic system anymore. It's about the people in the country. It's about the country. The country gets to have some say-so about what goes on in its country. That's what we're talking about here. Take a few minutes, answer your 4 daily objectives.